Alright guys, so today we're going to do a little carburetor upgrade on a 28 cubic inch Briggs flathead motor. And here she is. I've actually been running this motor for quite a few years now, and since doing my snorkel high flow intake modification video and install a couple weeks back, I haven't really been able to get this carburetor tuned quite right. Now the reason for that being I'm flowing so much extra air into the intake now that there's really not enough fuel to compensate to complete a good burn. So here we've got three carburetors. This carburetor is the original carburetor to the tractor. This is your standard Walbro carburetor for a 12.5 horsepower Briggs flathead. This carburetor is the standard carburetor on a 14.5 horsepower OHV Briggs. This is a Niki or a Nikai. Some people call it different things. I'm not really sure the proper pronunciation. Significantly different than a Walbro carburetor, but we'll get into that later. This carburetor I recently picked up. I'm not exactly sure what horsepower motor this was pulled off of, but if I had to guess due to my research, I believe it's about a 17 horsepower OHV single cylinder Briggs motor. This one is also a Walbro. Now as I pan back and forth across these carburetors, I want you to notice the significant difference. You're looking at the manifold size of all three of these carburetors. They're oriented in the same fashion, smallest to largest, left to right, as they were before. And the first thing I want you to notice is the bore size. For instance, look at the bore size on the one on the left, and as we pan over to the one on the right, it's significantly larger. We pan over to the one on the far right, and it's even larger still. As you see here on the Walbro for the 12.5 on the left, there's 4 holes drilled into what looks like a cutout for the low RPM circuit. As we pan over to the Nikai, you see there is a cutout for a low RPM circuit, however there's a complete lack of holes. As we pan over to the Walbro for the 17, you see it has the same hole structure and cutout pattern as the original Walbro, the smaller one. However, one of the holes is not totally drilled out. So now I have the three of them flipped over, so you're looking down the inlet side, and you can see the low idle jets on the left and right of each flange. The one in the center is significantly different than the one on the left and right. So let's get rid of this Niki carburetor altogether, because I'm not going to use this. I have tested it, and it does have flat spots about mid RPM, which I do not like. When you transfer from low RPM to high RPM, it just doesn't seem to flow properly. So it basically comes down to these two carburetors. This is the original 12.5 horse carburetor. I could rejet and reuse it, or use the 17 horsepower OHV carburetor, which has a significantly larger bore and significantly larger jet. I should also mention that I have actually gone ahead and tested all three of these carburetors and how they react on my track out back, and I've settled on the 17 horsepower Walbro. So the real big tremendous difference between the old flathead carburetor and the new carburetor is basically where the power band has been shifted. With my old carburetor, I had really awesome low end power, but when I got into higher RPMs, it didn't seem to hold up as well. It would surge, and it didn't really have a lot of oomph when you shifted and stomped the gas to the floor. Now the trade-off with the OHV carburetor is I actually lost a small amount of low RPM power just because I'm simply flowing more air and more fuel. I don't think the engine can keep up with it at low RPMs. However, the mid and high end RPM power band is just phenomenally better. You stomp your foot to the floor in 5th gear in this thing on the track, and you can easily max it out before the next corner. Whereas with the old carburetor, I could almost get it maxed out, but not quite. So this is a fairly simple bolt-in modification for most people, so I'm just going to go ahead and throw this thing into place and get everything hooked up, all the throttle linkages, the new intake and all that, and we'll fire her up and test her out. Well, here goes. Cold start, new carburetor. So as you can plainly see, she still runs pretty damn good. In fact, better than it did before. So if your lawnmower is pulley swapped, and when you go into like a higher gear and stomp the throttle to the floor and it bogs a little bit, you will feel a difference by doing this swap. especially if you have a smaller engine and you can swap a bigger carburetor onto it. But that's going to do it for me today, boys. Let me know if you liked the video. Thumbs it up as always if it's helpful. It's very helpful to me. It only takes a second. Let me know what you think about the modification. Give it a try. Let me know what you think. You can go to a small engine shop and pick these carburetors up for 10, 20 bucks. Pick through their pile, see what they got. Usually they've got a few. But yeah, try it out, mix and match, see what happens. Don't blow your motor up though. But that's it for today. Thanks for watching.